So is the 2025 through 2026 Toyota Tundra safe to buy? This interview is actually trimmed down from an over 2-hour long interview with a Toyota insider, Ryan Gregg. I got that request from a ton of people. They didn't want to sit through a 2-hour interview to find all of the Tundra and Toyota tidbits out of it. If you want to watch the full version, it's down in the description. Enjoy.
I've always contested that the debris issue was real. And I've got a short block that's brand new that has debris. For sure, that was probably some of the issues. But at this point, when you have 2025s, like the latest one that I know of, that I've been in contact with the owner, it's 1,270 miles on it, locked up, seized up on him. And Toyota's like, we're not going to do a long block for you. We're only going to do a short block. So then they go back and forth. Well, then I believe it's the passenger side valve cover gasket wasn't seated correctly. So now he's got oil dripping out. So then that takes them additional days and they have to wait on parts. It's just a mess. And I'm like, hey, you really need to push Toyota to send you this part number. So the part number is 19000-F4030. That is what Toyota considers a long block assembly. They call it a partial engine assembly, but that has always been available for engine repairs. It's never not been available. It's just one of those things that locally, I know that Toyota of Plano, which is across the street from Toyota Motor North American headquarters, I know that they've done full engine replacements on hybrids within Toyota's corporate fleet. Toyota knows that their own corporate fleet has failures on the hybrid, but yet they aren't willing to do anything from a recall perspective for both Tundra and Sequoia owners that are having failures. My motor failed on July 1st, 2024, 105 degrees in Texas. Took them 4.5 hours in DFW to get me a tow truck. I call Toyota and the person I'm talking to has no idea that there's even a recall on my truck for the engine. How does that happen? We're 30 days post recall being issued and the person I'm talking to on the phone has no idea that there's a recall.
So what's the biggest question everyone's going to want to know is, and I get it all the time in email, all the time in the comments, is like, is the Tundra safe to buy? I've only seen maybe like 5 to 10 2025s that have died and there's not a lot of confirmation, but they're so new. They have low miles. Like there can't be that many with more than 20,000 miles on them. So I don't know. Can you share? What do you think? What's your opinion on that?
So at this point, I think that they've got a handle on it, but at the same time, my family member and a service manager that I talked to, like Ford, GM, Stellantis, they would love if their engine failure rate was 1%. They would love that, right? But Toyota's used to being at 0.5% or below. And most of the time it's going to be like 0.2, 0.3%. So it's such a small number, even now at 1% for Toyota. But the biggest thing is you've ruined the reputation of the Tundra. And that's prevalent. And you can look at the data when it comes to resale value, even for trucks that have had the recall remedy performed, like resale value is terrible. Is Toyota going to take care of you? Somewhat. They will do a short block rebuild for you. Do I think that's the best way forward for Toyota? No. Obviously, I emailed you some information about a month ago that came across my desk that I have been able to confirm across multiple geographic regions and multiple different service managers. But there is a change coming. I will not state what the change is when it comes to the V35 FTS Type 21. Toyota Japan is involved in said change. And unbeknownst to a lot of people, including myself, Toyota Japan has actually been supporting the recall by sending a certain number of short blocks to Alabama in order to offset some of what they haven't been able to build themselves. There is a change coming.
New parts or?
New parts. I won't say what parts, but there are new parts coming. Let's just say at the end of October of 2024, there was somebody very high up within Toyota that traveled to Toyota Motor Manufacturing, Alabama. And shortly thereafter, the first week of November 2024, there was a quality control meeting at Alabama where they discussed what they were going to do to try to resolve this issue. Based off of the information shared with me, both being typed to me as well as pictures shared with me, the cleaning of the debris issue wasn't actually fully resolved until November of last year. And so I know what Toyota has shared with NHTSA. It's a CYA. They are completely covering their butt when it comes to that. They are not being 100% forthright with the consumer nor with the government. And I can't wait for the part number to change so I can show everybody, hey, there was an actual update, not just number 1, number 4 main bearings that happened late April, early May of 2024. That happens all the time. I could go show you the 3UR and how many times they updated bearing numbers. One of the biggest things that I've seen lately is, hey, there needs to be a bearing tang or a bearing locator for the mains. And there's your V35A rod and piston, right? Like, this piston's awesome, man. It's got a really nice coating on the side. It is side specific. This bearing does not have a tang on it. And guess what? The 3UR doesn't have a tang on it. Never had. And the 3UR has tighter bearing tolerances than the V35A. And the 3UR spec to 20W50 in Mexico. For people to say that you can't run 5W30 or 10W30 in the V35A is comical.
So the 2026, you're saying basically that these parts aren't going to be really in the Tundra until probably 2026?
I would say, yeah, you're looking at probably April, May of next year. There's just no way for them to get it done that quickly.
So the recall covers up through 2023. We knew there were 2024s failing all over the place and some 2025s. Now it's confirmed sort of that there was probably debris issues up until November of 2024. So that's not, not as bad, but
the other piece of that puzzle, from what I've been told, Toyota's not really good about traceability
because they've never had to.
Well, honestly, probably. The discussion that I had with my family member when I was in Indiana for a funeral was there's 3 possibilities. There was a process that changed, and because that process changed, we now have engine failures, which we've never really had in the past, right? T-Mall, Alabama, they built the 3UR. They built it since it was introduced and the Tundra was being produced in 07 in Princeton, Indiana. Alabama was still producing those motors. So then we switched to Texas. I guess 07 is when it switched, but Alabama was building motors for Tundra and Sequoia this whole time. And then we switched to a V6 and suddenly we have issues. And oh, by the way, people, the Tacoma Land Cruiser, the T24A FTS, they're also experiencing engine failures, like before their first oil change. It's just not that big a deal because the Tundra and Sequoia have kind of taken the cake when it comes to engine failures. So Toyota's just not the Toyota of old. That's really what it comes down to. So 1, it's either a process. 2, the metallurgy of the metal changed. Well, something could have changed there. We don't know. I'd have to go find a 3UR block and have it tested against my V35A block that I have. The third thing is the workforce completely changed during COVID. According to people that know about it, Toyota before COVID had 15 plus years. That was the average for one of their factory workers. Post COVID, it's 2+ years. So
wow, that's not good.
Your workforce is just completely different. And the other piece of it too is a lot of this was designed during COVID. The 3rd gen Tundra was supposed to be a 2021 model year, and they delayed it a year because of COVID. I respect everybody that works for Toyota. I know they're working hard, but at this point, we're into our 5th year of the 3rd gen Tundra, and we're still having engine failures.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they can't seem to figure out how to program a transmission to save their life.
You know, what was telling to me was on the recall when Toyota went through the investigation and they got all the way to February 2024 to May. And they said as part of the investigation, the recovered parts, they looked at the recovered parts from bad engines and then they began collecting teardowns of good engines.
Yep.
And to me, I can't prove that it's true, but you're kind of saying something on this that new parts are coming. Yep. I think they got to a point where they decided this isn't all debris.
100%.
Why would you be tearing down new engines? And then they were finding in the engines that were working that the bearings were also on their way to failure. They just weren't there yet.
Yeah, I think just based off of what I've seen from teardowns and conversing with service managers and people that have built engines, it's a very robust block. What I will tell you is that the cylinder walls are thicker on a 2GR than they are in the V35A. And it's a non-boosted motor. It's one of the most reliable V6s that Toyota has ever used. That's where, like you said, there's language that they used in their defect information report that does not add up. As you said, why would we tear down a motor that we know is good and we're pretty sure that we have resolved the debris issue. Why would we tear it down?
Yeah, they were doing bearing tests and deciding whether or not the bearings were actually made of the proper material and within spec. And I mean, they were being thorough, but
I'm also of the belief that there's no way that they didn't have a failure during testing and development. There's just no way.
Right.
So what I'm curious about, how is it that engines that were designed on grid paper by people who did not have access to a computer were somehow an order of magnitude more trustworthy? And once again, I would say it's A, the scalability of mass manufacturing, but B, the regulator cartel.
Yeah.
If they were still selling 2JZs and 1UZs, like, they wouldn't be in this situation. I'm very confident in that.
I don't know if you've seen the pictures that I took of the block.
They were crazy.
I don't know how some of this stuff got past somebody's naked eye, let alone
And this is on a new block?
Oh yeah. So this is the main oil pump feed into the block meeting the block. So there's two holes meeting, and you can see that's a terrible job. It's just terrible. So the bottom circle, can you pull up the picture that's got the end of my pinky? But I can reach in and feel the debris that you're about ready to see. I don't understand how this went on for 3 years.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
This is on an unused engine.
100% unused. I could give you the block number if Toyota wants to know, because I've never shared the actual block number.
So just so people know how avoidable this is, there's something called deburring in manufacturing, and it's its own process. And it's a process where we go through with a special tool and basically polish your edges and remove things like this. It takes a little extra time, but we don't have things going out with metal shavings in them. That's almost unheard of here. So this is simply somebody not doing their job, or worse, somebody not creating a task where deburring is requisite. So that's
100%.
painful. The fact that was able to leave Toyota, if somebody told me that was BMW or something, I'd be like, yeah, of course it was. I don't doubt that. But the fact that that's Toyota is pretty shocking. I mean, not in 2025, but just how far we've fallen is wild.
I go back to what you said. There's absolutely no way they didn't have an engine problem in testing unless they built these by hand for their test products.
Essentially, the block of the V35A FTS Type 17 that's in the LS500, the block is essentially the same. There's a few differences because it's going in a car, and the oiling's a little different because of the depth of the oil pan and all of that. But the block is essentially the same. They had failures in that before it was ever introduced in the Tundra. So that's where I go, hey guys, you knew you had an issue. Did you not investigate it because you only sell 5,000 LSs a year?
Yeah.
It's very little compared to the Tundra, where they're producing 5,000 a week or whatever they do down there. Based off of my picture, they have way more information than I do internally. We're still having engine failures 3 years after I bought that block. It can't be that hard to figure out.
It's not a high enough percentage to matter.
Well, that, and then people don't realize all the motors that are built at Alabama. All the Tacoma T24A FTSs are built in Alabama and shipped to Mexico. Is there a process issue here? The other interesting thing, right as the Tundra was being introduced and the V6 turbo was being introduced, the president of Alabama changed. So I'm not saying anything about that person. It's just interesting when you line up timelines of certain changes that happen with leadership, and then issues come. I know, causation doesn't equal correlation, but in this case, it's hard not to think that, because there's leadership change, and then suddenly we've got issues when we didn't previously have issues with engines coming from this plant.
Do you think they're going to expand the recall?
I don't see how they can't. I know of multiple dealers across the U.S. that have 23s that are not included in the recall, and 2024s, both Tundra and Sequoia, sitting on the lot waiting on short blocks. I mean, it's a 6 to 8 week wait on a short block, let alone they can't build the same number of non-hybrid Tundras because Alabama doesn't have the capacity to expand and cover the recall motors. That's why initially we had 4 phases for the recall. It's now expanded to 7. And as of the last update, they didn't actually give you a month that the next batch was coming. They gave you Q3 of this year, which will end in September. So I'm fully expecting they're going to keep pushing some of these motors, because it was said to me, and this is somebody's opinion based off of the information said to them. People don't take this as the God's honest truth. It's just what was said to me by multiple people. They have a feeling that even recall remedy engines will end up failing. It's just a matter of time. time and heat cycles.
That's the same thing that we saw with General Motors, people getting warranty product, and then that
Yep.
blew up to, a Ford, same thing with Ford, Chrysler with the 68 RFE and the P0871 code that I've been shouting from the rooftops how to fix for several years now. And guess what? People got them replaced under warranty, and then they had the same problem. These
Yep.
sorts of events are not new.
They're new for Toyota.
They are very, very unlike Toyota. When I started in the transmission industry, Toyota was, not perfect. No one is, but they were excellent.
Yep.
And we see that diminishing very quickly with time. For people who are unfamiliar, I'll say it again. Cost cutting, the regulator cartel, all these things together are making it extremely difficult for people that work at these companies in good faith to make the best products they can, because their hands are tied. And another thing people need to know is that engineers don't have agency over the things they create anymore. The financiers and the legal team does.
So did you say that the 4 cylinders, the tacos, are having failures? Because I have not seen anything in NHTSA. Nothing.
Yeah, you won't.
Oh, that is not good news. People are gonna freak out over that.
It's very few. I mean, when you look at Tacoma sales versus Tundra sales, it's nearly double, right? So the percentage is way less, but yes, there are. I mean, I know of a Land Cruiser with 2,500 miles on it that failed, and that's Japan. That's not even Alabama building that motor.
Do you know the diagnosis?
Yeah, spun main.
Oh, geez. Are these the same debris?
I don't know. That's where it's hard to know. Like I've said, I'm a Toyota fanboy. I will not own any other product. I just won't.
So November 24, it's supposedly fixed, maybe heads rolled, but there's part changes coming. There's still this weird unanswered thing that the parts will probably answer it for the 2025s that are failing.
Potentially. Yeah.
Because it's a small number.
Yeah, it's such a small number, but 24s, I can tell you, is not a small number, especially because there's a significant amount of Sequoias from 2024 that are failing. Toyota said in their defect information report, it shouldn't be an issue because you'll still have motive power. Untrue. I know of at least 15 hybrid owners, both Tundra and Sequoia, that have said, no, my motor seized today and I literally couldn't move the vehicle. A month after they issued the recall, the powertrain manager within Toyota Quality abruptly resigned. This was Toyota Quality within Toyota Motor North America, so the quality team that issues TSBs and recalls.
Are you thinking about buying a 26 then?
Mm-hmm.
So you trust
I've already got I'll probably buy a Sequoia too. There's opportunity there to improve for them. I've got a lot of product ideas that I know people want and nobody's come out with it. The good thing is I have a block, and so I've actually had some conversations with different companies about doing a stroker kit or replacing pistons and rods. And I think the open deck, while it's good in a boosted application, it's probably not the best idea. So figuring out a way to get the deck closed where coolant can still flow, but it actually supports the cylinders better, things of that nature. So I've got a lot of ideas. It just all takes money. Yeah, I'll probably buy a 26. It won't be my primary vehicle, I'll tell you that. I'm keeping my 21 Sequoia TRD Pro until it doesn't run, and then I'm just going to rebuild the motor.
You won't ever have to if you take care of it.
The fact that you know everything you know and you still have this sort of fidelity to Toyota, they really should call you and give you a consulting opportunity, because you're clearly somebody who has organic good faith for the brand that doesn't require paying you.
At the end of the day, my fidelity is because I know these people and I've known them a long time, and I consider them friends and I consider some of them family. I trust these people and I know that they want to produce the best possible product. But again, as you said, there's legal and then there's product planning, and those two sometimes trump cost. I didn't ask for massaging seats in my Platinum, so why did you suddenly put massaging seats in the Platinum? Who asked for that? I'd love to see the data. And you suddenly add $2,500 and another thing that can break. And oh, by the way, all it is an air bladder system. As you said, Nate, I can help you because I know what's shared with me privately from customers that own your vehicle. And I also know what's shared publicly. I can help you tremendously. And by the way, a new Tundra chief was just assigned, like a new chief engineer to Tundra for North America was just assigned because Mike Swears is retiring effective September 12th. So it's no longer going to be Sheldon Brown, from somebody familiar with the situation. Really, I'm a fan of Toyota. I'm their biggest cheerleader. I want them to do well. I want them to do the right thing all the time and not try to shortcut something because it saves $1. and, help return Toyota to the once king of reliability and customer service, I think you'd actually sell more trucks, but that's just my opinion. We'll see how 2026 model years go.
Yeah.
That's the asterisk is I want to see 365 days. I want to see 12 calendar months of no failures.
I was going to say, what you're talking about today is the reason my commuter car is a 1977 Lincoln.
Yep.
And it works great.
I don't think people believed you that it was. Now they can see you're riding.
Yeah. I got 4
Lincoln.
miles per gallon. Yeah. I'm going to spend $50 driving home. How nice. And you want to know something? I'm not getting data mined. I don't have to worry about, metal shavings in my engine. It's great. I sit here, I relax, I hang out with you guys, and I'm driving a half a century old piece of history, and I'm very glad. And this is why I don't buy new cars.
Yeah. Well, even if it did have metal shavings, it would probably still run.
Absolutely.